Hey everyone, welcome back to Sailboat Vlog Time with Jonas and Linda.
Hello again, I'm back. This time I'm sitting in Linda's studio, as you might see. And as you might have guessed, it's not going to be any makeup tutorial this time. No, I'm here to talk about the climbing equipment that I was using when I climbed the mast. For that purpose I have also rigged a little bit in the garden. I have been rigging some ropes there for demonstration, so we'll go there later on. But let's start with looking at the equipment. This is all about the method that I was using to climb the mast. Of course, there is many ways you can climb the mast of a sailboat, so this is just one method. This method is about climbing a rope that you hang from the top of the mast, and I was hanging that rope in the halyard line, the rope that you normally use to hoist the sail. So I was using that to hoist the climbing rope, and with the help of a pair of devices called ascenders, I was able to climb that rope all the way to the top of the mast. Actually, you need two of those devices to be able to climb up. I will explain it a little bit more when we go out there to the ropes. An ascender is basically just a clamp, a mechanical clamp that you put around the rope, and the way it works is it can easily slide up the rope one direction, but when you try to bring it down it will lock very effectively. So it's a one-way device, and as I said, you need two of them to go up the rope. This one here is the more common of the two. It's basically just a handle. You can grab it like this when you are climbing, but what I have done here, I have attached a sling to it, and this sling I also attach in my climbing harness, so I can support my own weight by hanging in it. The other one is a little bit more special. It's not that common, and the name of this one is Camp Turbo Foot, and as you might guess from the name, you use it with your foot. Basically it's just the same thing. It's a ascender, it's a clamp that you put around the rope. It slides easily in one direction but locks in the other. Just that you put this one on your leg. This red band here is supposed to be under your foot, so you can stand on it like this, step up on the rope. Well, this is very good. With those two you can easily climb the rope. Not much effort to go up, but if you only have those two, you will have a very big problem, because as I said, this is one-way devices. You can only use them to climb up the rope. You can never go down with these devices here. So unless you want to spend a long time up there until someone can bring you down, you need something more. And what you need to be able to descend the rope, to lower yourself from the top where you have been climbing, is something like this. This is a very common piece of climbing equipment, very uncomplicated actually, and it's called a belaying device. Belaying devices, they come in so many shapes, different versions. Some of them look similar to this one, some look very different, but basically they all work in the same way. And what they do is they add friction to the rope that you're hanging in, and with the help of that friction you can sort of increase your own strength. Like you can easily with just one hand hold your own weight, and that is very good because that allows you to slide down the rope, to lower yourself on the rope in a very effortless way, in a very controlled way, slowly, and you don't need to exhaust yourself. So simple piece of equipment like this, but very necessary. I will also demonstrate this one for you when we come to the rope. So yeah, I think it's time to go there now so we can look a little bit more how this equipment works. Let's go. And as you can see, I have been rigging some rope here in the back of the garden. The rope goes all the way from the ground up to the second floor of our house. This white rope here is what I was using to climb the mast of the boat. This is actually one and the same rope that I have been laying it double all the way from up there. One end is loose like this. I will explain a little bit, why a little bit later. The other end, I've added some tension to it. You actually need this tension to be able to use these ascenders in an effective way. I also have an extra rope here. This one I also had it when I was climbing the mast, and I will explain why a little bit later. Okay, starting with the first ascender, the one you put on your foot. As I mentioned, it works by clamping around the rope like this. Slides very easy in one direction, locks in the other direction. As it is made to sit on your foot, you need to have a convenient way of releasing it when you want to go down, for example. And the way this one works is by you just pull it back from the rope like this and then sideways, and it comes off. So when you are using this one, it's actually very important that you remember to always put the pressure in towards the rope like this when you are sliding it up. Otherwise it might accidentally come off from the rope, and that is not something you want to happen when you're not prepared for it. So whenever you're using it, slide it up by pushing it towards the rope. When you don't want to use it anymore, pull your foot back and sideways to release it, just like that. The other ascender is the more classical one, this handlebar, as I said. This one opens like this. You can also actually lock it like this in an open position. Then you put it around the rope, close it, and just like the other one, it goes very easy in one direction but locks in the other. So this is how you use it. You pull it up. Since it's connected in your climbing harness here, you can actually hang your own weight in it like this. And from this position you can use your foot, that you have this ascender in your foot, to take one step up. And when you are stepping up, this one slacks here, so you can use your hand to pull it up, add some tension to it again, hang down, take one more step up, pull this one up, hang down, and so on. You continue step by step until you reach the top of the mast. Well, one very important thing to remember when you are using this kind of devices is that none of them can be released when they are under load. So when you have tension on the rope, you cannot disconnect it. You need to slack. You need to unload it before you can disconnect it. Now to the next piece of equipment that I was talking about, the belaying device. If you have been doing any kind of climbing at all, you are probably already familiar with this kind of device. As I said earlier, they come in different shapes, but they basically work the same way. They add friction so that you can be able to hold your own weight, or your friend's weight for that matter, if you are helping someone to climb, with just one hand basically. And the way it works, this is when you need the loose rope, and it will be clear to you why when you see this. You take the rope like this, you pull it through here, and this device must always be used with a locking carabiner. It cannot be used without a locking carabiner. And the locking carabiner should go through here like this, and then connects to your climbing harness. Like that. So now you have secured yourself to this rope through the belaying device, and when it's used, the loose end should be down like this. This is how you get the friction. So when you're climbing up, advancing up, you use this one like this to always keep tension on this rope, this end of the rope here, and you can hang yourself very easy in this one. As I said, you can support your own weight easily with just one hand, but you cannot release this rope here. The moment you release it, you will go down. So this is what is called assisted braking. It's assisted braking. You cannot use it without holding the rope. You always have to have one hand on the rope when you're using this device. Going down is easy like this. You just hang yourself and slowly release the rope to go down like this in a controlled way. This particular belaying device has a little extra trick. It's a nice feature. You can add a little bit extra friction to the rope by pulling it like this. When you do it like this, it becomes even easier to support your own weight. You can use it if you need to take a rest. You are going down, something happens, you need to stop doing something with your equipment or whatever. It's easier to just pull the rope through here, and you can hold it with less effort. So that is basically all the equipment I was using, but as I mentioned earlier, I was adding a second rope here, and I haven't explained what that rope is for yet. Actually, I was having this one as an extra security. The reason is not that I trust this equipment really, and I trust those ropes here, otherwise I wouldn't even try to use them. But as I mentioned, I was hoisting these ropes here in the halyard line of the boat, and those lines are old ropes, and I can't be 100% sure. I'm 99% sure that they will support my weight. I can't be 100% sure because it's old ropes and you never know if there is a weakness somewhere where you can't see it. So actually this rope, I was hoisting it in a second halyard line. So if something happens to the rope that holds this up, then I have another chance with this one. And the way I was securing myself in this extra rope is an even more simple device. Just a sling of rope like this, and this rope should be a little bit thinner than the rope you want to secure yourself in. Basically what you do is you do a friction knot. I don't know the exact name of this knot that I'm coming to do here, but it's very similar to a Prusik knot, just that a Prusik knot works in two directions, whilst this one only works in one direction. But this one is a little bit easier to do, and I don't know if you see what I'm doing here. Very simple. You just save a loop of the small rope here. You twist it around the big rope a few times. And when you are done, you go up with this one here. Like this. And then tighten this knot a little bit. So this end connects to a carabiner that you connect to your harness. Now you have this friction knot here that you can easily slide up and down the rope when you're climbing. So you take this one with you when you're climbing up. At the moment something happens and you pull down on this rope here, the friction knot will lock very hard, like this. So it actually works like in a similar way to those ascenders that I was showing you, but this one is just ropes, nothing mechanical at all. Whenever I'm climbing the mast in the future, I'm not actually sure if I will use this one again. The reason for using it, as I explained earlier, was that I don't trust the halyard line of the boat that much. So I wanted the extra security of another halyard line, basically. But you can do that anyway without this extra rope. You just connect both of the halyard lines up there in the mast, and then you hang your trusted rope from those two halyard lines. So if one snaps, the other one will hopefully last and take the load when you are falling. Because of this, I actually had a little incident the first time I was climbing up the mast. It wasn't something serious, but it was still an incident. What happened was, I was climbing up all the way to the top of the mast. You know, this particular time I was climbing up, it was just to take a quick measurement, so it wasn't going to be a long stay up in the mast. So I didn't even bother to adjust my harness well and those kind of things that you normally do. I was just taking the things on, climbing up. Then when it was time for me to come down, I disconnected the first and the second ascenders. I was hanging myself in the belaying device. Then I started to go down. All was well. All of a sudden I didn't go down. I was locked in place, and I was wondering what could have happened. And then I looked up and I saw this knot. I had forgotten about it, so I started to go down without taking this knot with me. And what happened was it jammed, tightened itself. So I found myself hanging there and couldn't go down. And I thought that, okay, this is not a big problem. The only thing I have to do is I connect my ascenders again and I start climbing up the rope to untie this knot, and I continue down again. And well, that could have worked very nice. But what happened? The moment I connected this foot ascender, and I was putting my foot down here and I was pushing to go up, this rope that sits, this band here that sits under the foot, snapped loose. And then I was hanging there again, and now I only had one ascender, and you can't climb up the rope with one ascender. So now it was beginning to be a little bit more of a problem, and as I mentioned, I didn't take my time to adjust things well, so my harness was squeezing on some parts of my body that is very sensitive, and it wasn't comfortable at all. So basically I had to try climbing up with my arms, grabbing the mast, trying to drag myself up the mast, trying with one hand to hold myself to the mast and one hand to untie this knot, and it just didn't work. So I had to go down again, all the while I was hanging in this one. And then I found out that the only way I could do this I just have to let go of this added security here. So I was actually disconnecting this carabiner from my harness, leaving this thing up there. Then I was still hanging, as I said, in this one. And remember, you can't disconnect this one when it's under load. So I had to grab the mast again, drag myself up with my arms a second time, hanging there with one arm, disconnect this one with one arm. Whilst hanging there, I had to try to tighten the belaying device again and then release myself going down. Well, it worked, but it wasn't comfortable at all. And yeah, lesson learned from that. It was 2 mistakes actually that I did. Of course, the obvious one, I forgot about this knot here. That happens, you know, we are only humans, we forget things, so it shouldn't be a problem like that. The big problem was actually this device. Why did it come loose? Yeah, I found out later that the way this band was threaded here was actually not the correct way. Obviously, when you buy a device like this, you expect it to be in the correct, to be, you know, threaded in the correct way when you get it from the supplier. But that was a mistake, because it was not in the correct way when I got it. It was only when I was Googling this device, looking at pictures, how other people has been threading it, that I realized that it couldn't have been correct the way it was. So that is a lesson learned. Always make sure that you understand your equipment, how it works. Don't trust anyone. Don't trust that the people delivering the things has been doing the right thing from the beginning. Make sure you understand how it's supposed to work, and make sure that it works that way when you are using it. And lesson number 2, even if it's just a short climb, you think that I will be going up there and I will be down in a minute. Take your time, do things proper, adjust things, make it as comfortable as it gets, because you don't know. You can be hanging there for some minutes trying to solve a problem that you didn't count on. And in that moment you will be happy that your things are working properly and you can be comfortable, thinking clear how to solve an issue like this. As I said, it wasn't really any danger in this, but it's still something you can learn something from, and I will not do this mistake again. Will I climb the mast again with this equipment? Yeah, definitely I will do it. I will probably have, sooner or later, I have reason to go up there again to check something or install something new. And yeah, I feel comfortable that this method of climbing the mast is okay. I feel secure with it. I'm not saying it's the best method, but it's the method I have, the method I will use. And if you guys want to use it as well or have any questions about it, you can write your questions down below and we will try to answer as quick as possible. That is it for now. Thank you very much. See you again. Bye bye.
Thanks so much for watching Sailboat Vlog Time with Jonas and Linda.